So continuous DO in the sense, DOF in the sense, the element 1, for the element 1 we have the nodes, there are two nodes, node 1 and node 2, and it is followed by element 2. The nodes are continuous numbered, 1, 2, 3. Those are node numbering 1, 2, 3. Then the degrees of freedoms are 1, 2, 3. In the case of truss, first node may be, ith node may be 1, jth node may be 4, 5, etc. Already we have done some problems. There you have a lot of difficulties. But here the DOFs are straightforward. So hence, for the first element is made up of node 1 and 2. Hence, DOFs are 1 and 2. And the second element is made up of node 2 and 3. The DOFs are corresponding DOFs are 2 and 3 because each node is having only one DOF. In the case of truss element, in the previous we have discussed about the truss element, where each node is having 2 degrees of freedom. One, the truss, imagine you have the truss, at node 1 can move along x direction. In the similar way, same node 1 can move along y direction for 2D plane truss. That means each node is having 2 degrees of freedom. But when you come to heat element or thermal element, the each node is having only 1 degrees of freedom. That is the temperature. At node 1, temperature is T1. At node 2, temperature is T2. At node 3, temperature is T3. T3 like that. So hence we have only 1 degrees of freedom for each node of heat element or thermal element. Dhanush, you can join through mail ID, no?
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
Okay. Otherwise, I have to every time when I talk discussing, I have to come back. I have to minimize the screen. Then I have to admit you.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
Okay. So now we have element conductivity matrix K1. We have element conductivity matrix K2. So now get the global conductivity matrix exactly similar to the problems on bar. Only formulas are different. Instead of K, in the thermal conductivity matrix, we have the K. So in the case of bar, K is replaced by E. Everything is remains same. Then there is a one more vector. Is there heat rate vector or heat generation vector? Heat generation vector is nothing but if within the element there may be heat generating element. I am always giving the example of the iron box, where inside there is a heat generation element. There is a coil, so that is a heat generating element. Or if you consider the immersion coil, if you immerse the heating coil into the bucket, if you consider bucket, the whole bucket as a one system, so within the bucket, so there is a heat generation element. But even though in this problem they are not given any heat generation element, myself is added heat rate vector, even though it is 0, 0, 0. So that you should have idea. In some cases they may give heat generation rate. In such cases you have to write these vectors and you have to make the appropriate value. But in our case there is no heat generation. So hence Q1 is equal to Q2, Q2 is equal to 0. That means we have the heat rate vector is given by QE LE divided by 2, 1, 1. So QE is nothing but heat generated per unit per unit volume. Normally it is referred as per unit volume heat generated. Already in the first part of your heat transfer, finite element analysis of heat transfer, we have discussed, we have derived also, where we are referred to the Q bar. Q bar refer to the meter, this watt per meter cube, amount of heat generated per meter cube. Here also it is the amount of heat generated per meter cube. So now Q is normally given, it is in new watt per meter cube, etc. So LE refers to length of the element divided by 2. So why you are going for the divide by 2 is, imagine within the, consider the element 1, through the element 1 total amount of heat generated to be, let it be 1000 kilowatt. So that 1000 kilowatt should be equally distributed to node 1 as well as node 2. So when you're distributing the 1000 watt to the node 1 and node 2, so node 1 So you are sharing around 500 watts, and node 2, another 500 watt is added to the node 2. So that is, so in the finite element analysis, we can add heat generated, heat generation also. It is nothing of force vector. In the finite element analysis, we can add or we can apply force only at nodal point. Even though it is UDL, in the beam also we have done from problems on UDL. So even though it is a UDL, finally it is applied load at nodal point. UDL will be converted to point load like a PL divided by 2, PL divided by 2. If the total weight of the beam is 1000 kg, the 500 kg is applied at node 1, another 500 kg is applied at node 2. In the similar way, heat rate vector, heat rate force is also added to node 1, node 2 as well as node 3. But here no information is given about heat generation, but still write the formula. And so now the heat generation vector, is, so QE is 0 into length of the element is 0.15 divided by 2, 1, it will become 0. In the similar way, for heat generation vector for the cell element 2 also 0, 0. So finally, we are getting a global heat generation vector, that is RQ. So RQ is given by K. So for the bars, KQ is equal to F. We have studied the formula. KQ is equal to F. When you come to thermal equilibrium equations, so K is not stiffness matrix, where K is thermal conductivity matrix. The T is temperature vector. It is not displacement vector. Displacement vector is replaced by thermal conductivity vector. Thermal conductivity vector. And on the right hand side, force vector. In this case, the force vector is heat generation vector. How much amount of heat is generated? Force is replaced by heat generation in the case of heat transfer. Now this is the final equation. Now when you apply the boundary condition, so it is slightly differ from other boundary condition. So here at node 1, most of the time displacement may be 0 or rotation may be 0. But when you come to heat transfer, the displacement is not equal to 0. And displacement is replaced by temperature. Temperature, in most of the cases, temperature is not equal to 0. So here at node 1, temperature is given, or on the leftmost surface temperature is given, that is 28 degrees Celsius. That is nothing but at node 1 the temperature is 28 degrees Celsius. So when at node 1 temperature is 28 degrees Celsius, that is nothing but specified temperature boundary condition. The temperature is specified at node 1. It is not 0, it is non-zero value. In such cases, while applying the boundary condition, you have to little bit careful because the procedure is totally different. Now, in general, I have written a general formula. This is thermal conductivity matrix K. Original matrix is we have K1, K2, K1, 3, etc. This is a standard notation used for subscript 1 refer to first subscript refer to row, second subscript refer to column. The K11 correspond to first row, first column. If you say K23, it is the second row. The thermal conductivity value at second row, third column. If you say K33, so 3, it may be subscript or general 3. 3 refer to third row, another 3 refer to third column. We have original, this is the original thermal conductivity matrix, and T1, T2, T3 is the force vector, this temperature vector, and R1, R2, R3 is nothing but the force vector. But now, even though you are applying the elimination approach, now you have to modify the thermal conductivity matrix. So as well as you have to modify force vector. One is temperature is specified, that is T1 is equal to T0, that is specified. Other than that, there is one more, the convective heat transfer on the other side of the node 3, not between node 3 and the surrounding medium. There is a convective heat transfer. This convective heat transfer you have to consider when you are applying the boundary condition. Now you are not considering thermal this convective heat transfer. So now at node 3, so there is a convective heat transfer from node 3 to the surrounding medium. There is a convective heat transfer. Hence, for the diagonal element 3, The diagonal element 3, once you say diagonal element 3, it is K33. For that, you have to add the H. This H is nothing but convective heat transfer coefficient. So we have thermal conductivity matrix. Already we have a global thermal conductivity matrix. At node 3, there is a convective heat transfer. Because of the convective heat transfer, for the node 3 or K33, you have to add convective heat transfer coefficient. That modification you do. Even though you are applying the elimination approach, you have to modify the thermal conductivity vector. That's the first part. At the same time, you have to modify the force vector or thermal force vector. You are applied. There is a convective heat transfer at node 3. So hence, in the row 3, the node 3 is correspond to R3. You have to add H into T infinity at row 3. This is a force vector. You are applying. There is a convective heat transfer at node 3. Hence, for row 3 of the force vector, you have to add H into T infinity. So in coefficient matrix or thermal conductivity matrix, you have to add only H at third diagonal element. When you come to force vector, on the third row of the force vector, you have to add H into T infinity. We know the value of H. H is 40. If it is always keep everything is in terms of watts, meter square, and degree Celsius. And T infinity is not a surface temperature. At node 3, you have to find out the temperature. T3 you have to find out. So T3 is nothing but surface temperature. Even though red hot, we have steel rod, red hot steel rod. We have red hot steel rod. We already conducted some forging operation. The surface temperature may be around 200 degrees Celsius or 300 degrees Celsius, but the surrounding temperature, ambient temperature, may be around. Normally it is 28 degree or 30 degree, but in that near furnace it may be 30, 40 or 50 degrees Celsius. The T infinity refers to ambient temperature. The T3 is not equal to T3 is not equal to T infinity. I want to say, so T infinity is different and T3 is different. You have to find out T3. So first you have to modify the force vector, thermal force vector, as well as the thermal conductivity matrix. Then only we can apply the elimination approach, because specified temperature is known. At node 1, temperature is known, that is T0. So as T0 is known, we can eliminate first row as well as first column straight away. But before applying elimination approach, you have to add H to diagonal element 3 and H into T0, T infinity to force vector, third row of the force vector. Same thing is done here. I am not going in detail because yesterday we have spent for 1 hour for this. Then, so other than that, so once you try to eliminate, you are eliminating first row as well as first column. So you have to modify, other than that, you have to modify the force vector also. On the right hand side, you have to modify the force vector. So how you have to modify the force vector, I'll tell you. So you are eliminating first row as well as first column because you are applying boundary condition at node 1. So when you are applying the boundary condition at node 1, so now you are eliminating K11. So if you multiply this matrix, K matrix with temperature matrix, K11 into T0, there's a first term. K21 into T2, it is the second term, second row. K31 into T3, that is the third row. We'll get 3 equations. 3 equations we get. So K11 into T0, K12 into T2, K13 into T3, that's the first equation. That's equal to F1, that's the first equation. If you see the first equation, the K11 value is constant, we have known, and T0 is equal to T1, that is also 28, that is also constant. Only K12, this T2 and T3 are unknown. So only T2 and T3 you are keeping on the left side, and wherever there is a T1 term, you are taking to the right side, because T1 is known, it is equal to T0, that term you are taking to the right side. In simple way to remember this step is, you are eliminating K11, you are eliminating the first row and first column. When you eliminating first row and first column, so K11, we have F1, F2, F3, that is nothing but R1, R2, R3, minus, you are eliminating first, that will be first column. So K11 should go here. In the similar way, K21 straight away you can write here. We have K3, you are eliminating K3. The eliminating K3 is that will be after multiplication, you get one constant that goes to right side. So when your for non-zero boundary condition, for zero boundary condition in the case of trusses or bars, there is no this vector. Just you are eliminating first row as well as first column. But when you come to heat transfer problem, so you have to subtract your force vector with one more vector. So that K11 comes here, K21 comes to the right, K31 comes to right when you eliminating. Other than that, K11 into T1, T0, that is the first term, K21 into T0, that is the first term, and K31 into T0, that is the first term of the third equation. All those things will comes to right side. That means before elimination, you have to subtract the force vector by this term. Then here already you are done. K11, this is K11, K11 into T0, on the right side it comes, K21 into T0, K31 into T0, K31, K11 is 4.66, 00, this is minus 600, it is the force vector, minus this term, that is K11 into T0, this is K21, this is minus 4.66, it is K21 into 28 degree, and third term is K31 that comes to right side after elimination, K31 into 28. So even though you are eliminating first row as well as first column, those eliminated elements or those product should goes to the right side. Detailed steps are there in the notes. Complete notes already shared in the Google Classroom. Even both problems as well as derivation part also shared. So then after elimination, you get by using your calculator, there is a equation option. By using this equation option, you can get the value of T2 and T3. So T2 we are getting so and so around 7.68. T3 we are getting around minus 12. This is the steps you have to follow in the case of heat transfer problem. Now we'll go to the derivations. Niyar? Is it visible? PPT is audible?
The PPT is not visible, sir.
Okay. So Niyar, you have to come out from that right side. It tells you are the presenter. On the right side, there is one button is there. That is turn on button, something that if you click, you will become presenter. Niyar is using that option. But we'll see whether it comes. So whether PPT is visible now? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Now we can see it.
Okay. And Nihar, I think you are don't use that right side option you are presenting. As per here, it has come somewhere by mistake. Might have operated that option. I have to cancel each and every time. Otherwise, you will be the presenter now. So now I think there is one more just before starting the derivations. I think only 16 members are entered your USN number. Then another 10 students are pending. Just enter your USN number. And those who have come by join this session by your Gmail other than college mail ID, just you have to enter your name as well as USN number. Those who are joined through official mail ID of the college, just if you enter your USN number, that is sufficient because your name is coming along with that. Now, when come to these derivations, there are in heat transfer there are two approaches. We can already we have used the kT is equal to kT is equal to Q, that is the equation. That equation we can derive, or it is nothing but your equilibrium equation can be derived by Galerkin approach. So one is by Galerkin approach, or we can derive the same equation by functional approach. As per your syllabus, some derivation you have to do by Galerkin approach, and some derivation you have to do by functional approach. First, we'll finish Galerkin approach. Just I am giving the brief introduction. This also yesterday we had discussed. Galerkin approach means there are different methods before finite element method to find out the solution for the equation. So one of the method is weighted residual method. So weighted method again, it's a mathematical method. From this method, we can find out the unknown variables. We have mathematics also. There are many types of set of equations. Methods are available. From those methods, we can find out the unknown variable. So when you come to finite element method, especially for heat transfer analysis, the unknown variable is temperature. We can find out the temperature. We can determine the temperature. Determine the sense you have to calculate the temperature. There are three methods. So one method is by mounting thermocouple, we can measure the temperature. Second method option is by using analytical method. What method you are adopting in regular heat transfer subject, we can get the temperature by using some formula. Then one more method is numerical method or approximate method, your finite element method. There you are assuming the temperature. So you are assuming the temperature function or displacement function. By assuming the temperature function or displacement function, we can determine the temperature. For that, we are using weighted residual method. Under weighted residual method, there is one more method that is referred to the Galerkin method. That part already you studied in first module. Just I am revising important steps. These equations are used in the derivation. In the vibration, we studied about differential equation mx double dot plus cx dot plus kx is equal to f of t. For a forced vibration, that is the equation. And the left hand side, there is a differential equation. So we have even the heat transfer also, we have that set of differential equation. Already you have derived differential equation. The left hand side of the equation one here, that is the whole differential equation. We have derived around 3-term differential equation for 3-dimensional heat flow. Also, you have derived a differential equation. Left hand side of the differential equation is referred by d of u. On the right hand side, it may be 0 or it may be f of t. The vibration equation, f of t, that is a force vector, the force term. The force is changes with respect to time. In the case of dynamic analysis, on the right hand side, we have a force term. Left hand side, there is a differential equation. Differential equation, complete differential equation is referred by d of u. We have del square t divided by del square t divided by del x square plus del square t divided by del y square plus del square t divided by del z square. That's equal to q, etc., etc. You are writing. The complete set of equations on the left hand side is referred by d of u. It is almost like, so kt is equal to force vector or r. Finally, it is in the differential form that can be written in the equilibrium equation. When you come to heat transfer, so where u is replaced by temperature T, because u is the field variable, so u is replaced by T. On the right hand side, T is replaced by Q, or it is nothing but heat generation vector or heat flux vector. Heat flux vector, and heat flux vector may be heat when heat is flowing along x direction. We have qx, qy, qz, etc. But we are following only the one-dimensional heat transfer. or one-dimensional heat flow, we have only one vector qx. There is only one, but in general, q is function of x, y, z. And sometimes it may be zero also. If in some cases, if the surface is insulated, then q may be zero also, or q may be constant. Finally, we have differential equation. We required solution for the differential equation. You studied about partial differential equation, or you studied ordinary differential equation, normally referred as ODE, etc. Finally, you have to get the solution. Solution is nothing but you have to find out the unknown variable. When you come to your structural analysis, like a beam, bar, trusses, torque, etc., where you need to find out displacement. When you come to heat transfer, the field variable or unknown variable is the temperature. You have to find out the temperature using the differential equation, equation 1. So that means we have the solution for the equation 1 is nothing but you have to get the temperature. That is the solution. And when you come to vibration, you studied about dynamic analysis. We have mx double dot plus cx dot plus kx is equal to f of t, where the solution is x. X is nothing but the displacement at any time t. So now we are familiar. Our finite element method is approximate method. If you're going for exact method, the right hand side is equal to left hand side. But when finite element analysis is approximate method, the right hand side is not necessarily equal to left hand side. I have given an example of the same temperature. Actual temperature measured by thermocouple of high accuracy is maybe 100 degrees Celsius. That is the exact value. But in finite element method, you may get 99 degrees Celsius. On the right hand side, we have 99. The left hand side, we have 100. The difference is nothing but an error. So in the finite element method, you will get some error. As far as possible, you have to reduce the error. That difference is referred as residual. This is 100 degrees Celsius minus 99. We have 1 degree Celsius. That is nothing but a residual. That residual you have to minimize using Galerkin function or weighted residual function. Now you have to define temperature. In finite element method, you are defining the temperature function. So temperature function is defined by like this. T dash, or in general Galerkin method or weighted residual method, we have U dash. U dash, U refer to actual displacement. So I am differentiating between U and U bar. So U bar refer to the approximate displacement that is obtained from finite element method. Then T bar is referred to the finite element solution, the temperature found out by finite element method, but the exact temperature is 90 degree, 100 degrees Celsius, that is T. But in finite element analysis, we got one temperature, let it be 99 degrees Celsius, that is given by T bar. The T bar or U bar refer to approximate value of the temperature that is obtained from equation 2. So we have equation 2, you are defining the temperature or you are assuming the temperature function phi naught plus I is 1 is equal to 1, ai phi I. So that is nothing but assumed temperature function. Where phi I is the trial function, you have to define how temperature, it is almost like a shape functions or interpolation function. And ai is constant, you have to find out constant ai. But if you take on the left hand side, we have, if you consider this equation, this is the exact solution. But if it is the approximate solution, so d of u minus p becomes 0 when it is exact solution. But when you come to finite element method, so d of t dash is approximately equal to p, or d of t dash minus q is equal to rd. So there is a difference between exact solution as well as approximate solution obtained from finite element method. That difference is treated as rd. That means we have one function phi I. There is that function you have to remember. There is a one more difference, that is rd. Rd is nothing but we have differential equation minus q. It is nothing but rd value. In finite element method, as far as possible, the overall error should be 0. So imagine we have 5 nodes. The each node temperature, each and every node we cannot. It is very difficult to get 100% accurate. But if you sum all the error at node 1, that will be error is minus 1 degree Celsius. At node 2, error is plus 1 degree Celsius. I'm not talking about a temperature. I'm not talking about temperature. I am talking about the error. once if you sum all the errors, the error should be 0. The summing of the error at different point or different at different nodes is nothing but an integration. You are integrating the error or you are summing the error. Once you sum the error should be 0. So that's why you are going for the integral function. So integral of the error should be equal to 0 here. Wi is the one more function that is referred as the weight function into RD into dV is equal to 0. If it is three-dimensional heat transfer, we have dV. But if it is one-dimensional heat transfer, dV is replaced by A into dx. So why you have to go for integration is, imagine we have a 10 nodal point. So if you sum errors in each and every nodes, if you imagine at node 1 plus 1, node 2 minus 1, like etc., that sum of the error should be 0. Sum of the error should be 0. You can write it in the integral function. That integral function is referred as the weighted integral, or it is referred as weight function. But when you come to weighted integral method or weighted residual method, we have using one function here. For defining temperature, we are using the function phi I. In the integration, we are using one more function Wi. So now in the weighted residual method, Wi is not equal to phi I. Wi is not equal to phi I. But there is one more scientist or engineer, Galerkin. He thought that if you, instead of going for two functions, you have to define one function for define the temperature. The one more, it's all are mathematical functions only. So one more functions for putting integral equal to 0. So instead of that, you can go with only one function in the case of Rayleigh-Ritz method. Not Rayleigh-Ritz method, the Galerkin approach. In the case of Galerkin approach, phi I is equal to Wi. That you have to remember. Now you have the Galerkin method. So where Wi is equal to phi I, there is only one difference. So there are many problems are solved on Galerkin method. In first module, you already have dealt, we have derived, we have spent 2 to 3 hours for Galerkin method and Rayleigh method. So now some problems you can study so that you can understand heat transfer better. Now Galerkin method, Wi is equal to phi I. The Wi in the integral function, within the integral Wi, in the previously we have Wi. This Wi function is replaced by the phi I function. Now d of t, that is the error, residual. The residual is nothing but actual solution minus finite element solution. This is nothing but a residual. That's equal to 0. When you come to heat transfer, this residual is nothing but a differential equation. We have derived differential equation like del square t divided by del x square plus del square t divided by del y square plus so and so is equal. On the right hand side we may have q. So that if you take the right hand side to the left hand side, that is nothing but the residual. This is the residual, that is nothing but left hand side you have the differential equation, right hand side term you are taking to the left hand side. So then that will be the differential equation. Phi I you have to define. The temperature is also defined by this function phi I. So that means we have only one function you have to define in the case of Galerkin method, that is nothing but phi I. But when you come to weighted residual method, we require two functions. One is Wi and one more is phi I. So this equation is very, very important in the case of, now you are going for deriving 1D heat transfer only for the conduction by using Galerkin formula. This d of t minus q is nothing but governing differential equation for 1D heat transfer. The phi I function you have to define. Steps in Galerkin method. So we have this phi I. Imagine we have three unknown in equation t bar. If we have a1, a2, a3, then we require here ai is unknown. You have to find out the ai term. To get ai unknown, imagine ai has, there are three ai, a1, a2, a3. We require three equations. For getting three unknowns, or to find out three unknowns, mathematically we require two equations or two equations. Imagine you have two unknowns, a1 and a2. To get those two unknowns, we require two equations. Those two equations you can get it from this phi I RD into dx is equal to 0. So 0 to L phi I RD into dx. You will get one equation. Phi I is replaced by phi 1, and in the similar way, phi I is replaced by phi 2. We have two equations. Then there are two unknowns here. Unknowns are nothing but a1 and a2. Those two unknowns we can find out by using these two equations. If there are three unknowns like a1, a2, a3, then we require three equations: phi 1, phi 2. Then one more equation is phi 3. Now we will come to the actual heat transfer, the derivation. Now you are going for the derivation. Galerkin approach for heat conduction. We are going for the one-dimensional heat conduction using Galerkin approach. Now, before applying Galerkin approach, we required the governing differential equation. The governing differential equation is nothing but, we have this equation. So here d of t minus q, this is nothing but a governing differential equation applied to 1D heat transfer here. So if it is 1D heat transfer, we have general equation that you are already familiar with. You are familiar with these equations. The governing equation for both conduction as well as convection for one-dimensional heat transfer is given by this equation. This equation already we have derived, that q plus, on the left hand side we have k into del square t divided by del x square is equal to q. So q I am taking to the left side. This is the governing differential equation. Already we have derived this equation excluding this term. But if you consider only conduction, so if it is only one conduction equation, in equation number 1, the right hand side this term will vanishes. So we are dealing with only heat conduction. So when you're dealing with only heat conduction, the right hand side right term, hp by a t minus t infinity becomes 0. That means the governing equation for 1D heat conduction is obtained by equation 1. Already we have the equation 1, general equation. It is combined conduction heat transfer as well as convective heat transfer. But we are dealing with only heat conduction. When it comes to heat conduction, this term becomes 0. Equation 1, the right side becomes 0. But there is one more derivations. The next derivation is conduction combined with convection. In such cases, so you have to consider this term. But now you are concentrating only on conduction. Hence, you are neglecting this term. The finally end with differential equation. We have k into d square t divided by dx square plus q is equal to 0. This is the differential equation that you have derived in the first or second class. We have derived. This is the differential equation. This is nothing but your residual function. In the Galerkin approach, we are using the residual function. This equation k into d square d divided by dx square plus q is equal to 0 is nothing but residual function. Now you are going for the Galerkin integral. In the case of Galerkin integral, already you have studied this. The integral, because it is one-dimensional heat transfer. For one-dimensional heat transfer, dV is replaced by a into dx. So, but area you are taking as a 1 unit. Area you are taking as a 1 meter square. So hence there is no area term comes into picture here, because strictly speaking here we have dV. So dV is nothing but a into dx. The area you are taking as a 1 meter square. Hence area is not considered here. So it is a one-dimensional heat transfer. Hence the volume integral is reduced to the line integral 0 to LE phi into RD into dx. The phi is weight function and RD is residual. The residual is nothing but the differential equation. This on the left hand side, this term is nothing but your actual exact solution. On the right hand, this term is nothing but your approximate value, that is q value or calculated value. This is the residual function. This residual function we are getting from this one-dimensional heat transfer. We have governing differential equation for 1D heat transfer. This equation you are familiar. This term is nothing but residual for 1D. If you are going for conduction as well as convection, that one more derivation you are going to do later. For that, the residual is complete. This equation is nothing but residual. Now residual is known. Residual is known. Then you have to substitute all those things. Now RD is equation 4. So now we have phi 0 to L. I am instead of writing every time DLE, I have written 0 to L, length of the element. Phi into, this is RD. This complete term within the square bracket is RD. into dx, that's equal to 0. But it is a two variables are there. One is phi is one variable, and this complete term is one more variable. So that's a one more variable. Or we have expanded in the first level. You are expanded the term because you have to go for the integration. Phi into this complete term, first term. Phi into q, that is the second term. This is the first term. We have expanded the internal part of internal function. Phi into this is the first term. Phi into q, this is the q, don't confuse between q theta or phi. This is q because I expanded, because I've taken, because 3 to 4, the one page notes is I have divided into 3 or 4 pages in PPT. That's why it comes a little bit odd shape. This is the second term, this is the first term, and this is the second term. So to minimize the complexity, you are simplifying the first term separately, you are simplifying the second term separately. We have first term is again integral function, the second term is also again an integral equation. You are simplifying the first term separately and second term separately. We have the equation 5, it has both first term as well as second term. So now I am considering the first term of the equation 5. This, for time being, I am referring it as a. Now you have to go for integration by parts, because phi is not a constant here. Phi is also a variable, and d by dx, k into dt by dx, that is again a variable. So now you have to go for integration by parts. So now for time being, u I am taking as a phi, ub, integration of u into v. That function you have studied, that is nothing but integration of u into dv. We have the formula in the mathematics, is equal to uv minus integration of v into du. This one part is you have to understand this equation, how exactly you are deriving. This is the first part. Second part is the second part, work you have to do from your what you have to do is you have to practice these equations. There are 3 important equations. One is conduction equation, one more is conduction combined with convection, and one more equation is the heat transfer through the fins. All are similar equations, the derivations, but out of 3, one will definitely come for your examination. 1 or 2 may also come, because we have question number 7 and 8. 7, one derivation may come. 8, we may get one more derivation plus problems. Or 7 is only derivation, 8 may be problems, or they may be mixing. That's why these equations you have to practice. Otherwise, you will not understand better. Now you are considering, you are simplifying the only first term of the equation 5. This is the first term. So for that, you have to go by integration by part. So first term, you are taking u as phi, dv as this term. You should be very careful, dv, because so once you're going for the integration, u into v, if you can define this as a dv, then v become k into dt by dx. You have to choose appropriate correctly. So v is equal, you are taking v is equal to k into dt by dx. The dv becomes this term. Those are the mathematical fundamentals. I hope you have done a lot of integration, differential, etc. The remaining part is only mathematics. The only you have to going for the integration. uv minus v into dv. So u is phi. The v is k into dt by dx. The integration limit is 0 to L minus integration of v into dv. So v is kt by kt k dt by dx, that is v into du. Du is u is phi, but du is d phi by dx. D phi by dx into dx. We have into dx. This is this. Now, if you consider you are applying the integration limit for the first term, straight away we can apply the integration limit, because first you are applying the upper limit. Upper limit is L. So once phi of L, we are applying the upper limit. K of L, it is upper limit. Dt by dx at x is equal to L minus, you are applying the, for the first term, this term only you are applying the lower limit, phi of 0, k of 0. So k of 0 is 0, because no, the thermal conductivity becomes 0. This is 0 into dt by dx at x is equal to 0. That means for the first term here only, first term of equation A, you are applying upper limit. Upper limit is L, x is equal to L. So one more lower limit is x is equal to 0. You are applying those two limit for the first term of equation A. Now second term I am keeping as it is, I am not changed. Second term you have to integrate it once again. Only we have simplified the first term. Here the second, this term become vanishes because k of 0 is 0. Minus we have the second term as usual. So phi of 0 is equal to 0. That is a standard function. Function phi is equal to 0 where temperature is specified. We have specified temperature boundary condition. When phi is equal to 0 means where temperature is specified. Whenever there is a temperature is specified, the phi become 0 because here at there's the first part you have to remember. So now if you go by further, I am considering the second term. So first term is we are retaining this term. This term becomes 0 minus we have three terms here 1, 2, 3. So second term vanishes. We are end with only two terms. Same thing is shown here. This is the first term and this is second term is 0. This is third term. Now we have phi of L into k of L into dt by dx is equal to L. I am concentrating only on this part. So what we want is we have q, x is equal to L. So q is equal to x is equal to L is on the rightmost surface. At the rightmost surface, so whatever the amount of heat conducted, imagine at node 3, whatever the amount of heat is conducted, so that will be transported to the surrounding medium by convection. That means imagine at outermost, imagine we are heating the rod from the one end, the other end of the rod, there is a conduction. Up to node 3, it's a conduction. We have solved one problem. All heat conducted will be transferred to the surrounding medium by convection. The total amount of heat conducted is conducted, let it be 1000 watts per second. 1000 watts per second is the heat conduction rate. So this heat is transferred to the surrounding medium by convection. Then total amount of heat convected to the surrounding medium is also 1000 watts per second. Same thing is shown here. I am concentrating only on this term, first term, dt by, we want what is the value of this dt by dl. So now this q refers to heat conducted at node 3 or on the rightmost surface, because we are heating the rod, steel rod from the left surface. So on the rightmost surface, whatever the amount of heat conducted, it is transferred to the surrounding medium by convection. Or otherwise, we can remember in this way, the total amount of heat conduction or conduction rate is 1000 watts per second. On the rightmost surface, it is exposed to the ambient. The convective amount of heat transferred to the ambient surface by convection is not also equal to 1000 watts per second. That's why this term, the k dt by dx, that's a convective heat transfer, conductive heat transfer by conduction. This we are familiar, k into dt by dx. In heat transfer, you are saying k a delta t dO by L, that is a conduction heat transfer. But area becomes 1 meter square. dt is nothing but delta t. The dx in your regular heat transfer, it's the length. So now that's equal to h into TL minus T infinity. It is almost like you are applying one boundary condition on the rightmost surface where heat is transferred by convection. That's why I have done one problem on the rightmost wall. The heat is conducted by convection. They are given h into T minus T infinity or T3 minus T infinity. That is applied to x is equal to L. Now we can write like this. K L dt by dx, this equal to minus h into TL minus T infinity. You have applied one boundary condition. We end with equation C. So again, equations, now you are adding equation C. Equation C in the first term, the equation B, we can see here. We have this term. This term is replaced by, we have left hand side, we have phi of L, k of L, dt by dx. This complete term is replaced by h into TL minus T infinity. You can, same thing you can see here. So this is KL into dt by dx into dx, that we are replaced by phi of L minus h into TL minus T infinity. I am concentrating on the first term. Now phi of L, h into TL minus T infinity. So now h into TL minus T infinity is nothing but a convective heat transfer. Along with that, there is one more function phi. So now I am writing phi of L into K of L dt by dx at x is equal to L is equal to minus xi. You are introducing one more function. That's a global virtual temperature function. There is a virtual temperature function and one more is the actual temperature function. So whatever the temperature you are getting from, in simple way to remember what is the difference between phi as well as xi. So in the case of phi is nothing but your actual temperature. And to get the actual temperature, we are getting the approximate temperature in finite element method. That approximate temperature is nothing but your xi value. It is a global virtual temperature, that is xi of L. I am talking about xi, the temperature function at x is equal to L, h into TL minus T infinity. This is nothing but you are familiar with this term. H into TL minus T infinity refer to convective heat transfer per unit area. Xi of L is a one more function, is a virtual temperature function that we are going to see here. So now U is equal to NQ, you are familiar. Even bars also you are writing U is equal to NQ. So when that is nothing but imagine at node 1 and node 2, or with respect to your temperature, the bar itself, node 1 the displacement is known, node 2 the also displacement is known. So once you know the displacement at node 1 and node 2, we can get displacement at any point within the element. That's nothing but U is equal to N1 Q1 plus N2 Q2. In simple way, we can write it as U is equal to NQ. You have done problems on that. You have done derivation in bars also, trusses also, even in the case of beams also. In the case of beam, the N is replaced by Q. We have written H of Q. V is equal to H of Q. In the similar way, we have global thermal the temperature vector, that is nothing but phi of L. We are introducing one more function, global virtual temperature function. Global virtual temperature function, that is nothing but phi is equal to N into phi. That we'll discuss in the tomorrow's class. I hope you have to practice this equation. Already notes is there. You try to practice once or twice. At minimum, if you practice those equations twice, half of the derivation is over. Another half I have to continue. Tomorrow I'm going to continue the another. Not tomorrow. Monday I'm going to continue. So in heat transfer, very simple. We have 3 important derivations out of 3 derivations. So one derivation come for your examination. Simple derivations. 3 is little bit using Galerkin approach or functional approach. Those derivations. Some basic derivations what you studied in your heat transfer, that also it is included in my notes. That those are general derivations, not applied to finite element method. And problems based on conduction only conduction combined with convection. There's one more set of problem, and one more set of problem is problems on fins. So if you know those, we can easily you can get full mark 16 out of 16. But derivation we can practice. That is the only one option. First you have to understand. The second part is you have to practice minimum once or twice. Then definitely you can score good mark in heat transfer also. I think if you have any questions, you can discuss. If there is no question, I'll wind up the session. But practice those equations, whatever, how much is possible, you practice. If you have any doubts for till last equation, what equation you have derived till now, if you have any doubt, you can clarify tomorrow morning. Again, for few minutes, around 5 minutes, I spend for half of the derivation. Then remaining part, I'm going to continue tomorrow. Still, if you feel some part you are not understood, especially in that particular derivation, so tomorrow you can clarify if have any doubt.